A legendary samurai, Oto Musashi, was revered and feared for never losing a combat. He was intimidating just by his presence. His aura, which was derived from years of mental and spiritual practice, transcended skill. Musashi's strength came from a mastery of mind and soul, not only from physical prowess. The Musashi method. His ideas for creating a presence that inspires both terror and respect will be discussed in this video. Section 1. The basis for fearlessness, self-mastery. Musashi's unwavering dedication to self-mastery was the foundation of his legendary aura, which was not just derived from his exceptional skill. He realized that no amount of physical strength would ever be sufficient if he was unable to control his own thoughts. People felt confident in him because he had a brave inner peace that was based on confronting his own inadequacies and concerns. "Today is victory over yourself of yesterday," Musashi famously remarked. "You will defeat inferior men tomorrow." He believed that real strength comes from overcoming his own limitations, fears and doubts on a daily basis. Max learned a valuable lesson. Musashi's remarks helped him realize that confidence began on the inside, even though he had always believed it was about success on the outside. He made the decision to walk in Musashi's footsteps, confronting his own anxieties, one step at a time. Max was aware that he would need to start with modest obstacles in order to develop that fearless aura. He so started to speak up when he would typically remain silent, such as when expressing his thoughts in meetings or making his point in talks. Though he experienced the first wave of panic each time, he reminded himself of Musashi's example and did not back down. Like a muscle he was training, Max's confidence grew stronger the more he confronted these minor worries. Musashi's mind had become as sharp as his sword from the innumerable duels he had engaged in. Max viewed his everyday struggles as his duels. He was training his mind to remain composed under pressure, much like Musashi, by taking on each one. Max felt himself changing with every step he took forward. His confidence had evolved from a facade to something more profound, rooted in his personal experiences, confronting his past limitations. He began to observe how others responded to him, feeling a fresh power in his presence that had not previously existed. Max was starting to develop his own aura, a calm, unafraid assurance that others could sense without his speaking a word, using Musashi's technique of self-mastery. Section 2. Unwavering concentration, getting rid of distractions. Musashi's unbeaten record as a samurai was a result of his exceptional focus as much as his swordplay prowess. In combat, Musashi schooled himself to block out everything but the task at hand. But others would allow distractions, anxieties, or doubts to impair their judgment. His opponents could sense this focus, which was what made him so formidable. Musashi wasn't considering his next triumph, notoriety, or self-promotion. He had an advantage few could match, because he was just concerned with mastering the situation at hand. This was a concept that appealed to Max. Whether it was his phone, his rambling thoughts, or the pressure to keep up with others, he had always had trouble focusing. Musashi's method was unlike anything he had ever experienced. The majority of advice centered on accomplishing several goals at once, while Musashi's life served as an example of the strength of unwavering commitment. Musashi hadn't made an effort to win people over with his aura. He created it by dedicating himself to mastery and not allowing anything, not even achievement, to divert him. Max made the decision to use this theory. He chose his morning routine as the one straightforward area of his life where he could practice unwavering attention. He became aware of his tendency to hop from one task to another without completing any of them completely. Before finishing anything, he would begin an email, check his messages, and then browse social media. He was motivated by Musashi to focus on completing one activity at a time, from beginning to end, without allowing his thoughts to wander. It was difficult at first. He would be reminded of other things he needed to do by his thoughts, which would try to draw him in different directions. However, Max forced himself to concentrate on just one thing, emulating Musashi's laser-like focus in his own unique manner. Sometimes it was annoying because those minor distractions kept attempting to divert his focus. However, he found that he could focus on his work for a little while longer each day, and that there was a sense of accomplishment when he really finished anything. Max began to notice something unexpected as his concentration increased. People appeared to be more interested in him. They seemed to sense his increased lucidity. His aura had changed. That disorganized nervous energy was gone from him. Instead, despite the chaos all around him, he felt composed, self-assured, and in charge. Max was learning Musashi's focus and building his own strong presence. He discovered that pursuing attention or flaunting oneself was not the path to mastery. It resulted from giving every moment your whole attention. Similar to Musashi, this concentration was becoming into a fundamental aspect of his aura, a silent power that required no explanation. Section 3. Detached power. Maintaining composure under stress. Musashi's ability to remain composed in the face of death was one of his most potent qualities. He exuded an air of unwavering poise that made opponents uneasy, as if they were facing an insurmountable obstacle. Musashi depended on his mental faculties as much as his physical prowess, developing the technique of detachment to ensure that he was unfazed by distraction or fear. His ability to maintain composure was like an invisible armor that gave him an air of invincibility and a presence that demanded respect. The idea of mushin, or no mind, was central to Musashi's serenity. Distracting ideas, uncertainties, or anxieties are absent from the mind in this state. When practicing mushin, the mind becomes clear, concentrated, and totally present, like still water. As a result, Musashi was able to move with accuracy and decisiveness, acting spontaneously and without hesitation. This preparedness was evident to his adversaries, who sensed the silent, menacing force emanating from his complete presence. This concept of mushin intrigued Max. He would constantly allow difficult conditions to obscure his judgment and cause him to hesitate or doubt himself. However, he understood that Musashi's composure was about actually mastering his thoughts, not merely about projecting strength. Max was aware that if he could remain composed under duress, as soon as he entered a room, his aura would grow stronger and more grounded, making it easy for others to sense him. To put this into practice, Max started doing basic mindfulness exercises like deep breathing and grounding anytime he sensed tension starting to creep in. He would take many deep breaths, concentrate on the feel of his feet on the floor, and allow his thoughts to calm down before confronting a stressful scenario. He observed that instead of responding rashly to obstacles, this allowed him to approach them with greater clarity. Max noticed the change in himself as he trained. He moved and spoke with calm control, no longer moving or fidgeting anxiously. He observed that people's reactions to him varied. He sensed that people were drawn to his calm, collected demeanor when he entered a room. Because of this serenity, he exuded a peaceful confidence that didn't require dramatic gestures or loud words. Max exemplified Musashi's ideas by remaining composed and aloof, projecting a presence that people could sense right away, a strength that derived from mental mastery rather than physical force. Max came to the realization that he didn't have to appear strong by exercising detachment. He instinctively created an aura that others respected and admired by remaining composed. Section 4. Accepting simplicity. Decreased dependency on status. Musashi's life was characterized by its simplicity. While others sought reputation, fame, or fortune, he was exclusively concerned with mastery and personal development. His way of life demonstrated a strong sense of purpose and humility. He believed that material belongings and social standing could cause him to lose focus and clarity. Musashi felt that he could focus all of his energy on becoming the finest version of himself by letting rid of these attachments. Because of his dedication to simplicity, he exuded a quiet strength that inspired admiration. His strength was demonstrated by his constant dedication, rather than by ostentatious possessions or titles. Do not let yourself be guided by the feeling of lust or love, was one of Musashi's teachings. For him, this meant keeping his ego, feelings, and ambitions under check. He realized that his focus was only weakened by his connection to material possessions, approval, or admiration. He distinguished himself by eschewing these diversions and cultivating a grounded, pure presence. Max realized that creating a genuine aura required this strategy. He became aware that he had frequently become preoccupied with appearances in an attempt to appear successful or to meet preconceived notions. However, by doing this, he had really increased his dependence on outside approval, which only made him less focused and confident. Motivated by Musashi's example, Max began examining his life and determining what he could let go of. He observed that he could simplify his daily activities, concentrate more on the important things, and cease worrying about what other people thought of him. Max took the decision to stop relying on social media approval all the time. He concentrated on improving his skills, discipline, and centering rather than chasing likes or praise. This change gave him mental clarity and enabled him to focus his energies on developing himself. He discovered that he felt more rooted and connected to his purpose after streamlining his objectives. Furthermore, he no longer felt the need to establish his worth. Max's presence was altered by this simplicity. People felt a genuine, unwavering confidence that wasn't about flaunting himself when he entered a room. As he abandoned the need for prestige and concentrated on his own development, his aura grew stronger. Like Musashi, Max found that true power originates within, by accepting simplicity and projecting an aura of strength, humility, and purpose. Section 5. Taking charge of the space. Self-belief via internal power. Loud spectacles and ostentatious bravery were not part of Musashi's aura. Built on a lifetime of self-mastery, it was a quiet, powerful assurance. Musashi had honed his skills for years, putting himself to the test in innumerable duels and developing mental self-control. During this voyage, he cultivated an indomitable inner strength. Regardless of the situation, he was certain that he could rely entirely on himself. Not because he brags or flaunts, but because his whole presence exudes the depth of his confidence. This confidence was scary. Musashi exuded confidence like a fire. Without a word, opponents were able to perceive his calm intensity. Knowing his strengths and weaknesses, countless hours of focused practice, and an unrelenting dedication to self-discipline were the sources of this strength of presence. Musashi didn't need to make a big show of his might. His quiet assurance was enough to leave others in awe and frequently feeling threatened by his presence. This gave Max the insight that genuine confidence did not come from proving oneself or looking for approval. He learned from Musashi's example that true power stemmed from inner strength that was developed over time. Max started concentrating on improving his own skills, growing as a person and trying to become more independent. He became aware that he felt less reliant on other people's acceptance as his own abilities increased. He seemed more grounded and sincere in his confidence. Max took this lesson to heart and set himself challenging goals that required self-reliance. He focused on developing his self-confidence rather than looking for approval or depending on compliments from others. He developed a confidence that came from within by pushing himself, learning new talents, and committing to his craft. He found that this grounded strength altered people's reactions to him over time. Max gained an aura that naturally demanded respect as a result of this process. His demeanor changed to one of cool, collected confidence that could only be felt rather than demonstrated. By leading a disciplined, self-mastering life, Musashi established an aura that was independent of status or words. It just emanated from his being. His life demonstrated that genuine power and confidence aren't based on outward looks or opinions. Rather, they originate internally, developed gradually via constant behavior and a commitment to self-improvement. Start small if you want to create an aura that people can feel. Choose a principle that you believe in, such as maintaining composure under duress or giving your whole attention to a single activity, and incorporate it into your daily routine. You're getting closer to a calmer, more profound confidence that people will notice every time you follow this discipline. Musashi didn't become well-known overnight, and none of us will either. But as you move on, you'll notice that you're creating a genuine and enduring aura. To stay in touch, if you're prepared to continue developing on this journey of self-mastery, subscribe.